Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I have come here on your platform because I want to share with you my own side of the story. You know, when someone becomes a ritualist, it is not because they do want to become that ritualist, but there are things that happen in life that can force you into becoming a ritualist, like even being born in a wrong country, being born black, being born at the wrong time and at the wrong place. That is what happened to me. So I grew up in the villages. I do come from Zaka. So when I was growing up, I was always being mistreated by my father's other wife, because my mom, it was said that she passed away when I was still very young. And my mom, she was hated a lot by my grandmother, who was her mother-in-law. So there was this grudge that was there between the both of them. So my mom, she came from an Adventist church, so she did not want to become part of the rituals that were being done in the family. That was why she was being hated so much. It was said that my grandmother said that my mom thought that she was better than everyone else, because whenever there was a traditional ceremony that was supposed to happen, my mother would refuse, saying that it went against the doctrines of her church, because she came from that Adventist background, and this made her to be a hard target in the village. Since my grandmother, when we were growing up, we were told that indeed she was a witch, and there were a lot of people that were even afraid of her, even though she had since passed away. There is a lot of stuff that happened at that time when she decided to bewitch my mother, and then after she had bewitched my mother, something happened to her. She started to lose her mind. She would be speaking with herself, and there were people who claimed that the day that she died, they even heard voices that were coming outside of her bedroom. These voices, it was as if a snake was hissing and talking at the same time. Even when they were going to bury my grandmother, we were told that it was as if there was a large group of people that were walking in front of the car that had her coffin. Those were some of the strange things that happened when my mother passed away, and after that my grandmother started to lose her mind. Then eventually she passed away. So my father then remarried again, and then my father's young wife, she was someone that was very heartless. So my father's young wife, she had already connected with our grandmother. She was a witch indeed, to tell you the truth. She is a witch. That is why I say, when you hear that someone is a ritualist, do not be quick to judge that person, to say that you are a ritualist simply because you are someone that is evil-hearted. No, that is not the case. There are some things that can happen that can force you into becoming a ritualist. Like I told you that I was born in the wrong village. I was born at the wrong time. I was born in a wrong country. There was a lot of witchcraft that was taking place, and I was being subjected and being exposed into all of those evil charms. Whenever our stepmom would be looking at us, she would always curse us for no reason at all. She would be cursing me and some of my older siblings, such that the life that we were living, it was very tough. When we grew up, she chased us away, and she said that it is far much better you go out there and then you can try to get a job. We were still very young at that time, below 16 years, when she kicked us out. As for me, I went to the next village where I spoke with the village headman, and I told him, even though he knew about our situation, he took me in and he promised me that he was going to pay me once a year. So he said that he was not going to give me like hard cash. He would only pay me with a goat and a cow. So the job that I was supposed to do was to take care of the fields, to make sure that everything is okay, to go into the mountains to get firewood, to make sure that the cattle are well looked after, and watering the vegetable gardens. I did everything, and I was telling myself that when this man gives me my goat and my cow, I am going to sell it, and then I can apply for a driver's license, because there was this other friend of mine who had told me that he had a brother of his who was working in the city as a taxi driver. So now that was the dream that I had. Unfortunately, when the time for him to pay me came, this man then invited me. He said, I want you to follow me so that you can go and select the cow that you wanted. And these people, this man and his sons, they were planning to murder me. It was by the grace of the Lord that I saw that this man, he was hiding an axe inside the long jacket that he was wearing. By the time that we arrived at the cattle kraal, that was when I saw movements in the dark. I saw shadows. It was his sons. They tried to chase me. They said that I had been stealing maize grains and I was selling those maize grains, and they wanted to beat me up. I ran. They chased me, I think, for about 3 kilometers, and they could not catch up with me. So the very next day, I then told myself that it was far much better for me to go to the city. In the city, there I was just being a street kid, not having a roof over my head. Life was very difficult. I do not want to lie to you. It then happened that there was a time when I became friends with this other guy who told me that he wanted to go to South Africa. This man then said, if you can get some money, when I go to South Africa, I will go with you. I raised enough money, which was not a lot. I think it was around about 300 rands, but I had to work extra hard. I still remember that there was this other family that told us that they wanted some farm bricks to be made. So I went and I made those farm bricks for them, and then they gave us the money, and then we came to South Africa. We started working on this other tomato farm. Life there was very hard. We will get beaten up. There is this other electrical gadget that they use in the farms, like when they are transporting the cattle. So that man, he used to choke us with that electrical gadget when he will think that you are not working hard enough, and if you would make a mistake, you will always get punched and beaten up and reminded that you did not have any proper documentation and you need to work extra hard. Life was very difficult. And what hurt me is that when we started working for that man, he did not even have any money. We would work day and night. There was no knock-off time. You know how we used to water his plants? We would dig trenches like canals. That is how we used to water his plants. So in the middle of the night, he would wake us up. Then we would go into the fields and we would open up those canals. It was not an easy thing to do. Sometimes we would have to shift like these thick pipes that we were using for the irrigation throughout the night. There were people that were bitten by snakes. The bodies of those people, I don't know what would happen to them, because we would be told to just put them even in the Land Cruiser, and then he will say that he's driving with those bodies of the people that would have been bitten by the snakes, especially the puff adders. Those were quite common at that farm. So a lot of people were being beaten, and I think that they were just being thrown into the Limpopo River because the farm was so close to the Zimbabwean-South African border. So after I had raised enough money, me and my friend, we said, we cannot stay at this place. This is just slavery. Let us try to go to Joburg. We arrived in Joburg, and then we started working. My friend was working for another company, and I was working for another company. So me and my friend, that was when we said, enough is enough. It is far much better to be rich and you will be worshipping the devil than to tell yourself that you are a good man, yet you will be suffering. That was when we took one of those pamphlets that they were handing out, like, if you want short boys, if you want quick money, if you want magic rings. As for me, I told myself that I wanted a magic ring. We went and we spoke with the Nigerians who was working with this other Malawian traditional healer. They asked us what exactly we wanted. I said that I wanted a magic ring. As for my friend, the things that he wanted, they were already there in that shop. So the rituals were done for him. As for me, I was told that I had to go and collect this magic ring in Mozambique. My friend was now making money. He gave me some money and I traveled to Mozambique alone at that time. When I arrived in Mozambique, I was given that magic ring and I was given some rules that I was supposed to follow. Always to sleep with a mad woman whenever I enter into a relationship with a new girl that I'll be dating, that I would want to use for those rituals. After sleeping with a mad woman, not to wash my private parts until I sleep with that woman, even if she complains that something smells funny. That was part of the process. After everything had been done, I returned back to South Africa, continued with my life. I really do not know how it happened. I just lost that ring. When I lost that ring, that was the beginning of all of my problems. The problem that I am facing right now is that there is no way that I can connect with that Malawian traditional healer. As for those Nigerian guys, after they made enough money, they moved to Europe. I have no connection with them. I last spoke with them. This was in 2015 when things started getting hard in my life, being beaten by the tokology. And then they told me that this man is the only one who can help me because they were just assisting him because he was the one who had all the spiritual powers. This man was from Malawi, never even bothered to ask a lot about him. And we were just dealing with those Nigerian guys. At the place where I went in Mozambique, they said that they cannot help me because I never had a contract with their shrine. This Malawian healer was the one that they had a contract with. Therefore, I need to go back to him so that he can send me back to them. Then they will be able to accept the ring. I got so angry. And then I told them that, how can you accept the ring that I currently do not have? They said, it is up to you and the man whom you had a contract with. It is not up to us. So that is the situation that I am currently facing. I really need advice. I wish that there can be someone who can be raised up by God, who can help me to locate this magic ring that disappeared, as well as locating that traditional healer that is from Malawi. This is how I survive. Per month, I need to sleep with a woman who is mentally challenged. This I have to do it twice. If I do not do it, those tokologists, they beat me up like no man's business. I do regret, even though I am a victim of the situation. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.